For more on the battle between Israel and Hezbollah, let's bring in Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Scott Perry. He sits on the House Foreign Affairs and Oversight Committees. So, Congressman, from your position on the Foreign Affairs Committee, do you see the constant battles between Israel and Hezbollah about to explode into a full-on war?
I don't think Israel wants that, but I think that they know at this point that Joe Biden is generally irrelevant. And while he's calling for a ceasefire, he keeps on calling on the good guys, the Israelis, to start the conversation. He needs to start with the bad guys, which is Hezbollah, Hamas, and quite honestly, their benefactor, which is Iran. Iran is the root of all of this. And instead of going there, the Biden administration keeps on going to Israel to lead in the ceasefire. Israel's defending itself and responding, and Israel now sees him as irrelevant as the election looms and his time is up. And I think what they're going to do is try and deal with as much of this as they can in case there potentially would be a Harris presidency. But they also know if there's a Trump presidency that they're going to get all the support that they need in dealing with this terrorist, these terrorist proxies in this response.
Ibrahim Akil was killed in an Israeli airstrike. He was one of the leaders of Hezbollah's forces. He had a $7 million bounty on his head from the United States government. I mean, the Israelis did us a favor, and yet the Biden administration has been fairly critical of the Israeli conduct of these operations.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu and the rest of the war cabinet see Joe Biden as just generally irrelevant and, quite honestly, completely on the wrong side. While we're looking for a ceasefire agreement, they start with Israel every time. Israel's responding to being attacked. The Biden administration needs to start with Iran and its proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah. But quite honestly, they're not interested in doing that because they're so desperate to get a nuclear agreement with them prior to the completion of this administration. And so they've simply been giving Iran a walk. And Israel is sick of it. They're sick of seeing their cities devastated and their population, and especially their civilian population, attacked from these terrorist proxies, and they're going to do something about it.
The website Mother Jones is obviously fairly liberal, maybe progressive, you would say. They had a headline a couple of days ago: "This week has been particularly disastrous for Biden's Mideast policy." And they noted the fact that 7 months ago or so, he thought the Israelis and other parties in that part of the world were close to some kind of a peace deal. Hamas, Hezbollah. It hasn't happened, and it doesn't appear to be close, Congressman.
Well, it's not close because, once again, his peace deal, his peace agreement regards, and the major tenet of it is having Israel sold out. The United States, through the Biden administration, wishes to impose its will on Israel, where there will be no Israel left, and Israel simply cannot undertake that. So, like I keep saying, I think they see Joe Biden as irrelevant. They're tired of the negotiations that require them to do all the giving while they're under attack, and they know that he's not going to be around in a couple months, win, lose, or draw. And so I think they're taking care of the business that they must while they have to. And that's just what we're seeing right now.
Let's turn to domestic politics for a bit. We opened the program with the breaking news that Speaker Mike Johnson says there is an agreement to avoid a government shutdown only until December 20th, just a few months from now. But we keep getting these sort of stopgap measures. What do you think about this deal?
Well, it was completely predictable. Look, I'm from Pennsylvania. This is Groundhog Day in September. Every single year, the Senate does no appropriations bills. The Democrats won't vote for anything in the House. And so we get to the end of September, and we've got to do some funding measure. And the funding measure always goes to right before Christmas so that they can continue to bankrupt our country. I don't know what the agreement is. We had something that we had on the floor last week with the SAVE Act in it. It wasn't a perfect bill. Democrats, generally speaking, opposed it completely, even though it's already illegal for people here illegally to vote in elections. All they had to do is affirm that, and they refused to. So we're going to do this dance again. But I will tell you this, every 100 days, we add $1 trillion to the debt. And it looks like we're just going to continue down this path under the current Senate leadership.
Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry. Congressman, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. God bless you.